Gifted Children Week. All kids have strengths, and there are some kids who are academically gifted. It seems that learning and studying is pretty easy for them. Being super smart has drawbacks that adults should be aware of. This is what Blanca Cobb, who has a master's degree in psychology, and I are talking about this morning. And good morning to you, Blanca. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. What don't people understand about children who are academically gifted?
A common misunderstanding about children who are academically gifted is that they're academically gifted in all areas. And that may be the case for some, but for other kids, it isn't. They can understand a topic really well, certain types of topic, or they might have splinter skills, which means they do really, really well in one area and the other area, different areas, maybe not as well, but they still are leaders of the pack, so to speak. And if they're really smart in one area, that perhaps they could lag in other areas. For example, sometimes kids are super smart, but then emotionally, they're just not quite there yet because developmentally, they're supposed to be where they are, which is here, but academically, they could just be further along.
Can you talk about some of those challenges as well?
Some super smart kids get bored very easily. And so mom and dad will hear, school is boring. I don't like school. And the reason they don't like school or it's boring is because they're not being stimulated. Intellectually, they're not being stimulated enough. And so sometimes it can come across as that they're lazy. But what it is because it's not challenging, they don't put the effort in it. So what that means or what that looks like is they're not going to complete schoolwork. They may not study for tests. They may not turn in schoolwork. And mom and dad want to be at home pulling their hair, trying to figure out how can I get my kid motivated to do better. And it can also come across as inattentive. And so some people think these children might have symptoms of ADHD, and it may not be that. It's just that they're not intellectually stimulated. So that means they're inattentive, they're bored, and they can just not pay attention in class.
And Blanca, I'm sure there's a way that you can continue to stimulate super smart kids as well.
Absolutely. And as a parent, what you have to do is become a detective and really pay attention to what interests them at home. Some kids love math, and so they can sit there and they'll figure out problems in their head, or you can turn it into a game. For example, you could go to the grocery store and start asking them what's a better buy between the small can and a small can and a bigger can. Ask them to problem solve. Invite them in to do more challenging things. And when it comes to playing games, realize this, particularly board games, they have age ranges there because they want for children to feel successful, because most children develop and the bell curve. And what that means is there's a majority of the kids that are going to develop in that middle of that bell curve, right? So there are going to be some outliers, which means kids who really get something just fast, they can process it easily. So those age ranges are a guide for parents, is my point. So if you feel like your kid can be challenged more in its appropriate game that you approve of, and that's something that you guys can play together. So just keep that in mind. Just because something is written at a certain age, if you feel like your child can handle it, then that's something that you can do together. And that's going to provide that stimulation, and they're going to get more excited. And then you're going to be like, wow, because you're going to see a difference in their attitude about learning.
Blanca, thank you for your insight. You can continue the conversation with Blanca on her Facebook page, Blanca Cobb, body language expert.